nominate Honorable Tajuddin Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
You are onto the program House Cttee. Coming your way on the NTA Parliament, many thanks for joining us. The lawmakers' annual summer recess is still ongoing, and so while the recess lasts, we shall review major legislations by the 10th House in its first 1 year. This first review episode examines some of the key decisions and activities of the House aimed at addressing the lingering problem of insecurity in Nigeria. On current happenings, the House Committee on Alternate Education, in collaboration with the House Committee on Public Accounts, organized a 2-day investigative hearing in a bid to strengthen collaboration to address the issue of out-of-school children, as well as fight against insurgency. A report of the engagement will come your way in our program. I'll be right back after the short break with details. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. The Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, and that of Budget and National Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, have both stressed the need for more collaboration among the 3 tiers of government and other development partners in tackling security challenges confronting the nation. Both ministers stated this during an interaction with the House Committee on Alternate Education, which is investigating the allocation and utilization of funds for the Alternate School Program, Better Education Service Delivery for All, BESDA, At-Risk Children's Program, and other intervention programs for out-of-school and vulnerable children in Nigeria from 2016 to date. The event, which held on Tuesday, 20th August 2024, lasted for 2 days. Here are the details as compiled and presented from our studios.
In his remarks at the hearing, Chairman of the committee, Representative Ibrahim Al-Mustafa Aliyu, stated that the fallout of the recent national protest makes it urgent for stakeholders to come up with measures to curb the out-of-school children phenomenon that are realistic.
The issue of out-of-school children continue to pose significant challenge to our nation. The menace does not only threaten the socio-economic development and security of our country, but also directly impacts the well-being of our citizens. Under our able and amiable President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, education has been identified as a cardinal objective, reflecting the government's deep commitment to addressing this menace. To effectively tackle this challenge, there is an urgent need to synergize between all levels of government, the Parliament, and the key stakeholders.
He added that the Ministry of Finance, as well as that of Budget and National Planning, have key roles to play in reviewing the financial plans and programs of both ministries in order to address the issue of out-of-school children. He expressed the hope that the engagement will foster stronger collaboration and at the same time pave way for effective solution that will ultimately secure a brighter future for the nation. In his presentation, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, spoke on the ministry's aspirations, which according to him is a consensus document drawn up by several stakeholders, including the 3 tiers of government. He said that the issue of out-of-school children has been topical and that the federal government is supporting the Better Education Service Delivery for All, BESDA, which is a $750 million World Bank program that targets 12 states with the most serious problems.
One of the things we have been doing in addition to the budgetary funding is the recognition of the need as per our renewed hope agenda to include all. So in addition to federal government funding, we have been talking to foundations. While we are in Qatar, with the blessing of Mr. President, we met the coordinating Minister of Education, the coordination Minister of Health, Professor Pate, the Minister of Education, and myself met with Qatar Foundation and Qatar Charity.
The minister also added that the Ministry of Budget and National Planning is negotiating with World Bank on a program, Human Opportunities Capital Program, HOCP, which has 3 components: governance, education, and health. Also making his presentation was the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, who said that the important aspects of the engagement is the safety of children in school, adding that the country has grappled with the challenge of attacks on schools by terrorists, amongst others, which prompted the government to launch the Safe School Initiative in 2014. This, he said, is to enable children affected by conflicts, insecurity, as well as disruptions to continue with their education unhindered.
And in 2019, the federal government of the day did sign the Safe Schools Declaration ratification documents, which have been endorsed by 118 countries, and so signaling Nigeria's commitment to implementation of that declaration on safe schools. This was followed in 2021 by a high-level forum which was convened by then, as you know, we were together in one ministry: finance, budget, economic planning. And in partnership with the Emergency Coordination Center on financing safe schools in Nigeria, that gathering was convened in order to chart a way forward and address the issue of attacks on education.
He also added that in 2021, Nigeria hosted the 4th International Conference on Safe Schools in Abuja to galvanize support and review the process so far. Some members of the committee raised questions after the presentations.
Or your meetings in Qatar with the Qatari Foundation and how you are working towards some funding to be able to support our alternative education sector. Now, in every normal field, when you approach anyone regarding funding, the first question they're going to ask is your contribution. What do you have on ground to support what we are going to come and do with our own funding?
We are exploring all sources so that we can find money, and luckily it's not a new issue. We have found that people are ready to help in order to mobilize them. The World Bank funding is being negotiated, Honorable Koko. We haven't finished negotiation. Are there conditions? Yes. One of those conditions is that the National Assembly must approve the funding plan. But we are confident that it's a noble undertaking that we believe when it is presented by Mr. President, it will provide support.
There are some of them who we assess the education, it will be beneficial to them. There are some who can no longer go into it. What are we thinking about those ones? How do we plan to equip them financially or maybe in business-wise, or send them for skill and acquisition training for them to have something doing?
There is a budget for safe schools. It is 37 billion this year, and about the same for the next 2 years as well. 37 billion is earmarked to make schools safe.
The bandits we have today, the BH in the south, is the northeast, the unknown gunmen and whatever that we have in the south and the militants may be a product of our neglect and the poor planning in the past. Certainly, the current administration is managing a situation not created by it, but created by the past neglect. So the issue here, you are now in position. Now going forward, we have an emergency. What do we do?
The fundamental objectives and directive principles of state are very clear about a nation, the nation that we want to build. Political objectives, economic objectives, social objectives, educational objectives, particularly for that are relevant to this discussion, an education sector that includes all.
The committee also engaged the National Commission for Nomadic Education, National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education, as well as National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education.
Education being a fundamental right for each and every child, including the children of nomads. More so, the goals of the UBE, education for all, MDGs, SDGs, insisted that there should be that inclusion, and nomads should be included in the education, in educating populace of this country.
We have supported states with teaching and learning materials like I earlier talked about. We also proposed the establishment of what we call EMEC modern literacy vocational centers. That has not taken off, but that's a proposal to make sure that we improve our literacy delivery. States are not helping matters because they don't help us.
Any serious government will for sure want to get this issue addressed. Mr. President, with the advent of this administration, Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu expressed and displayed uncommon passion for the issue of Almajiri and the out-of-school children. And as such, he gave all the required backing for this commission to exist.
The program is House Ticket, and as I mentioned at the beginning, we shall start a review of major events in the 10th House of Representatives since its inception. In this episode, we are reviewing the efforts of the House on matters of security. Along this line, the 10th House had considered several motions discussing the challenge. The motions raised the problems of armed banditry, herders-farmers clashes, kidnappings, and insurgency. Bills also came up to address instances where the mandates of the security agencies overlap, funding, personnel increase, and special security votes, amongst others. In addition to this, there have been calls for state of emergency in the security sector, plus a need for the establishment of development commissions in the 6 geopolitical zones. Let us review some of the steps taken by the 10th House as compiled and presented in our studios.
Worries and concerns over the increasing spate of insecurity in their various constituencies were the subject of several matters of urgent public importance, focusing on insurgency in the northeast, farmer-herders clashes and cattle rustling in north-central, and most recently, armed banditry in the northwest and kidnappings all over the country. Since inception of the 10th House on the 13th of June 2023, several motions with the theme insecurity have been considered on the floor of the House till date. One of the motions witnessed in the lifespan of the House was considered on Tuesday, 3rd October 2023, entitled "The Urgent Need to Stop the Killing of Peasant Farmers in Borno State and Provide a Safe Platform for such farmers to safely harvest their farm produce," sponsored by lawmaker Ahmed Jaha Babao.
The persistent insecurity in Chibok-Dambuwa-Goza constituency has created an environment of fear and uncertainty, discouraging farmers from cultivating their lands and leaving their hard-earned farm produce unharvested. This not only leads to financial losses for the farmers, but also exacerbates the food insecurity situation in our constituency and the country at large.
That opened the door for many other motions from different parts of the country, including states like Osun, Benue, Lagos, Ogun, Yobe, Zamfara, amongst others.
Of the recent unfortunate death of Ms. Greatness Oluwafemi, who was latest victim of one chance operation in Abuja, a vibrant young lady who passed away on 26 September 2023 after she was allegedly pushed off a moving vehicle by unsuspected one-chance syndicate along Maitama Kuba Road.
The security architecture of Otukpo community, particularly the police and vigilante, are badly demoralized. More worrisome, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, is that the commercial and business activities are currently halted in Otukpo and Benue South as a whole. Banks and other commercial institutions have completely shut down operations.
Gunmen attacked the convoy of Yobe State Governor, His Excellency Ime Malabuni, between Binishek and Mainok villages in Kaga local government area of Borno State. Worried that the attack resulted in the death of 2 policemen and 6 others sustained injuries, including a soldier.
The recent and distressing incident of kidnapping of Barrister Chris Agidi, who was also former SLEA to my predecessor for 3 terms, and his neighbor on the 3rd of November within the Apple axis of Federal Capital Territory, with a subsequent unconfirmed report of his death related to the wife by the kidnappers.
It saddens that today is exactly 3 weeks and 2 days that these innocent girls are still in captivity with no good food, no good potable drinking water, and no shelter on their heads. Mr. Speaker, also worried that prevalent activities of armed bandits and insurgents, particularly in the abduction of the female student, has been responsible for tremendous reduction in school enrollment of pupils in Zamfara State and entire Northwest.
And of recent, just before the annual recess of the House, being on the 31st of July 2024, yet another motion was taken titled "The Need to Condemn in Strong Terms the Bombings in Goza Local Government Area of Borno State," sponsored by Representative Ahmed Jaha Babao.
The 30 young men who lost their lives ranges between the ages of 35 downward, including teenagers and infants, celebrating wedding ceremony of their friend in a public place close to a public park, just to intensify and tell the whole house the degree of the loss Nigerians recorded just on Saturday, 29th day.
Along with the numerous resolutions adopted by the House, the lawmakers gave the matter the seriousness it deserved.
Until we come to a point where a pain in the north is a pain in the south, and a pain in the south is a pain in the north, we are not yet Nigerians. Our being true citizens of this country reflects on how we share this burden together.
Speaker Abbas Tajuddin had always demonstrated a keen interest in matters of security, so much so that on Tuesday, the 21st of November 2023, as part of the implementation of legislative agenda, commenced the maiden edition of sectoral debates, which focus on security sector. The Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, as well as the Inspector General of Police were in attendance to provide insight into the security issues ravaging the nation.
Our focus on security is immediately clear, given the unprecedented challenges of the past decade. Over the last few years, we have made significant progress in tackling insecurity through improved investment by the federal government and the gallantry and professionalism of our servicemen and women. I salute the courage of our armed forces and law enforcement personnel.
Since our assumption to office in June this year, we have visited all the various areas of our operations engagements to evaluate the situation and identify ways of addressing the various identified challenges. Additionally, we held meetings together jointly to enhance jointness.
The Nigerian Army, we want to appreciate the support and the cooperation of the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, for appropriating the fund has been used in the provision of essential welfare support and operational needs of the troops, and has given the troops the flexibility to conduct operations in the field.
The Nigerian Navy is presently deployed in over 30 states of this country in support of the police and the army when it comes to internal security operations.
Now, in efforts towards addressing activities of insurgents and other criminal elements, the Nigerian Air Force embarked on a wide range of intensive air operations aimed at not only decimating the criminals and denying them freedom of action, but also shaping the operational environment in the various theaters of operations for successful ground offensives.
Funding is critical to achieving the mandates of the Nigerian police. Unfortunately, the citizens are not interested in our excuses for underperformance. What the citizens want is performance. They want us to serve them. We are willing to serve them, but we need your cooperation.
The Speaker added that an important component of the legislative agenda is to improve the quality of debates in the House and engage with the executive on critical issues of national interest. He then commended members of the House for their participation in the first sectoral debate of the 10th House of Representatives. On Thursday, 7th December 2023, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurit Lagbaja, before the Joint Committee of the House and Senate, presented the Nigerian Army 2024 budget proposal. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, Senator Abdulaziz Adua, commended the courage of the Nigerian Army in fighting insecurity in the country.
We, on our own part, will make sure we do what it takes, especially in relation to the security of this nation. We also will be very transparent in dealing with the two budgets that are being presented before us here.
On his part, the chairman, House Committee on Army, Representative Abdullahi Mahmudu, urged Nigerians not to lose faith in the capacity of the military to secure the nation, while assuring that the National Assembly will look at the gaps in the proposed budget.
We want to assure you that we will, within our limits, look at the budget critically and see how best we could enhance it to be able to meet up with the requirements to be able to safeguard the territory of Nigeria.
Giving an insight into the details of the proposed 2024 expenditure, the Chief of Army Staff informed the committee that the Nigerian Army's budget proposal was prepared based on the need to sustain the tempo in the fight against insurgency and other violent non-state actors.
I must state, without mincing words, that the expansion of the Army has continued to impact significantly on the human resources and lean finances available to the Army High Command. This, therefore, calls for a review of the current envelope budgeting system. The envelope system leads to inadequate funding of the Nigerian Army for the performance of its constitutional duties.
The Nigerian Army appealed to the National Assembly to prevail on the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to expedite the release of the 2024 Nigerian Army's budget proposal in the first quarter of the year 2024, while appreciating both committees for the support to the Nigerian Army in the past years.
It is on that note that we end this episode of House Ticket. We brought you up to speed on landmark legislations by the 10th House since inception till date on the security situation of the country towards permanently putting to rest the spate of insecurity across the country. Let us meet again next time on this station for more enlightenment on the workings of our elected representatives at the Green Chamber. See you again next time.